Welcome to the first installment of the New Mexico Association of Secondary School Principals podcast video blog. What all the kids call video blogs. Is that what we're calling it?
I believe we're YouTubers at this
YouTubers,
point, right? Or video
streamers,
blogging, right? Streamers.
People make a lot of money doing that, so we thought we'd jump right into that. So welcome again to all of our New Mexico administrators. If you're joining us from another state, we're happy to have you there as well. Introducing myself, I'm Rocky Torres. I'm currently the principal of Farmington High School up in Farmington, New Mexico. And with me today is Dr. Warman Hall.
Hello, everybody. I'm Warman Hall. I'm the Federal Programs Director in Aztec Schools, right next door to Rocky's district. Former principal at Aztec High School. And also on the leadership committee with the New Mexico Association of Secondary School Principals, along with Rocky and several other of our wonderful colleagues. So thank you all for clicking in and viewing this little video.
And remind me, Warman, how long were you in building leadership?
I was in building leadership at Aztec High School for just shy of 15 years. Prior to that, I worked at a non-public school, Manal School down in Albuquerque, and yeah, that summarizes my time mostly in building leadership.
All right, and that's really who we're targeting audience-wise here as we try to just build a support network for all of our principals here in New Mexico. We know you guys have the toughest job, but probably the most impactful job. And I've had the opportunity to do that in my 11th year here. This is my 5th year here at Farmington High. Prior to that, I worked over at the alternative high school in Aztec Vista Nueva High School. So that's really where Warman and I crossed paths initially. And so we're excited to work together and just provide some mentorship via a different avenue. And we know that that's hard in our rural state of New Mexico to always hear what we're doing and reaffirm practice just from what others are doing in their districts and in their schools, but also probably just answer any questions and again, provide another avenue for support in our state.
That's been a huge aspect of what we'd like to do with this video blog is just try to get more outreach going to building principals around New Mexico, really at any level. And we're hoping this helps us grow membership. We hope it engages better. We would love to answer questions, might push out surveys. As we get better at it, we might even invite guest speakers. We've got to learn how to do this first, though.
Yeah, so a couple of the hot topics we have today that we know every principal is dealing with, especially at the high school level, would be first off the SB 11, which is our statewide cell phone ban, and then we have HB 171, which is the graduation requirement change that we are all feeling the impacts of in lots of positive ways, but obviously with that comes some challenges. And so our current freshmen obviously being impacted by that the most, and for all of us who deal with master schedule, we know that it is a big puzzle that we have to work out. And so we'll also take a little bit of time to address some professional development opportunities here in the state that we know are upcoming that could be very relevant to each of you. And so, yeah, we'll get going. And so, again, that first topic was the Senate Bill 11, statewide cell phone ban. So, Warman, you want to kick us off with that?
Right. I guess the general overview is a lot of the viewership might be aware Senate Bill 11 was signed into law just right prior to the beginning of this school year and requires schools and districts to implement policies that reduce distraction in the classroom, and that largely is targeted on personal technology like cell phones. And part of what we'd like to do is we reached out initially with a little survey to kind of try to gauge feedback that we could get from building principals to see how the effort was going, and then just kind of maybe talk about our own personal experiences a little bit with it so far.
Yeah, and I can say for me here at Farmington High, it's gone significantly better than we ever could have expected, and we just appreciate all the parents that really got behind this and the students for respecting the policy. And I think the key to our success in this policy was really just the early communication. And it's a united front, right? The entire state doing the same thing. And that goes a long way whenever, when you're reading about it in the Albuquerque paper, as some parents have said when they come in, the message clearly got out there. And early communication from our district. And I also think that the autonomy to implement what was best for levels, because that's what we did here as a district. We have slightly different policy based on level. Obviously, high school students their lives look a little different. You know, they have job responsibilities, different level of responsibility at home and the family, and so recognizing that they might need some more ability to communicate outside of the school. So for us in our policy, we allow our high school kids to use it during passing periods, at lunch, before school, but instructional time is really where it ends. No cell phones, no electronic devices, headphones, anything of that nature. And the response that we have is we have a structure for teachers to submit a Google form, and then the office takes care of all of that. So when we came to the table, we really didn't want our teachers to be the first line of defense in terms of taking a phone, just because their job's there to teach, and you damage relationships, right, whenever we put a teacher in that role. And to me, it's our job as administrators to really provide that support, that structural support.
Well, they've got a tough job to do anyway, just trying to
Absolutely.
teach class with the young people, and so putting that added burden on them would be kind of unfair. So
Well, and really, when it comes to the spirit of the bill was really to protect instructional time. And so if we ask our teachers to be going down that road, they're obviously impacting their instructional time.
Absolutely. I think a nice piece of context about Senate Bill 11 is it really kind of swept into New Mexico legislature, riding a tidal wave of similar legislation in other states nationwide. And when you really kind of look at a lot of the good postings and literature out there that talked about what caused this sudden urge in legislation, the only thing I can go back to is, my experience. I think a lot of parents, particularly older parents, a lot of us that are starting to get gray in our beard and that sort of thing, can remember a day when education happened without cell phones.
Sure.
I bought my first cell phone about my third year in teaching. And prior to that, it was kind of an unknown thing to think about how to regulate that. So I think as parents got concerned about how that technology was affecting kids' ability to really tune in and pay attention, we know, for goodness sakes, as a grown man, as an adult, I struggle putting the phone away. I struggle even in meetings putting it away. So I think when you look at that interest, one of the things we wanted to do was to kind of really reach out to the NMASSP membership in a little survey to just kind of do a check-in and say, how are things going? As our first effort as a survey blog for this video blog, we didn't get a whole lot of response on it, but we got some really interesting feedback and insight from building principals kind of around the state, saying on the whole, I'll just interpret, it's rolled out okay, at least for the start of the school year. There hasn't been quite the level of student viciousness about this. I mean, you expect an element of that, for heaven's sakes.
Sure.
They're high school students, and they need to be we need to learn to start treating them as young adults. But on the whole, they feel like it has helped attentiveness in class quite a bit. But one of the key things that Rocky and I pulled out of the results was that the principals that really put a lot of good verbal feedback indicated that if their policies prior to Senate Bill 11 were pretty close aligned to what Senate Bill 11 wanted, it was a smooth transition.
Yeah.
I'd highlight between Farmington schools and Aztec schools, I feel like the two districts did a pretty good job of collaborating. Farmington had a really well-defined prior policy. We reviewed it in Aztec. I think both school boards weighed in, public input, and I think if you read the Farmington schools and Aztec schools policy, they align pretty closely, which makes sense as neighbors because we share kids pretty frequently.
Yeah, as so many of us do in New Mexico, right? We have so many neighboring districts that might only be 10, 15 miles away. And so if we're doing something drastically different, that's going to create a lot of animosity within those internal communities. So definitely important to collaborate with each other in that situation. And I would just echo the responses of the folks that did submit. And it's been a huge impact on engagement. Here at our school, I can tell you when I walk through classrooms, I see kids really communicating with each other. Right. I can see kids almost, in my opinion, just the kind of my gut check qualitative assessment, just happier kids and just collaborating more. And I think teachers are also really stepping up to the plate here and providing engaging lessons. And obviously that's the number one deterrent to any kind of distraction in the classroom is that engagement piece.
Yeah, and I'd say in context, on the other side of the spectrum, I think a lot of the worry, I do believe in parts of the country you saw similar legislation roll out where it tried to outright ban devices or lock them up during the school day. And I am glad that the legislation in New Mexico didn't roll out requiring that. And it sounds like most districts, at least those that are kind of middle-sized to higher, have not, but have done something similar. I'm going to point out, and I hope he doesn't mind that I'm giving him a shout out, but we've got a wonderful young man that's a Farmington High School student that's helping produce this video blog. And it dawned on me that, for young people to get familiar with technology, they're native in their use of it compared to like an old Gen Xer like me that kind of had to learn what the device even was. And as their lives are going to be so ingrained with using personal technology, we do need to help kind of see them through developing as people as they develop their skills with technology. So I think Absolutely. It's a good approach.
Yeah, and I do think it was important that the state and really any policymaker providing that autonomy. You're going to hear me, if you watch this vlog more than 2 or 3 times, you're going to hear me say defined autonomy probably multiple times, because when it comes to building leadership, district leadership, and then state oversight, I think defined autonomy is key, because we have to do what's right for our local communities while still holding the consistency that obviously is critical for something to go well, like this SB 11.
Right, and Rocky, I think you were telling me off camera earlier that at Aztec High School, you're a good-sized high school in the state of New Mexico. You're seeing about 4 cell phone incidents a day?
We're averaging 4 per day since the beginning of the school year, which is really great when we're sitting at just under 1,700 students walking through the doors every day, about 100 teachers. I mean, you really can't ask for more in a situation like that. And like many schools, we bought the cell phone jails and things, and we were kind of planning for the worst, and we've been very fortunate that we've been able to dedicate that time in other places.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go probing around Aztec High School's data since I'm not at the site anymore, but I will tell you I was over there yesterday filling in while Mrs. Sanders was at training, and it was interesting because I did get a witness, the assistant principal, Miss Christy Brown, interacting with 2 different kids at the end of the day that had had their phones taken away by the office for the day because they'd had prior warnings. And what I saw, and I get it's a one-time incident, but anecdotally, it was respectful. She was coaching towards them. The kids understood it, and it just kind of moved along as a thing. And I only hope that that's kind of one little signal the way it starts to roll out as we move ahead as a state, right?
Absolutely, and so obviously if you have any recommendations or any temperature check for your corner of the world, we'd love to see you drop that in the comments here.
Absolutely.
Because, again, we'll be posting this out on Facebook and sending it out through email. But we'd love to hear what your experience has been at your respective schools. And if you have any tips, tricks, or hints for any of the other folks here in the state that are in the same shoes you are.
Yeah, well, I'll just have to put that boring caveat out. So we hope you engage by posting comments, but just understand our blog is part of the association. We're not going to engage in trashing districts, trashing one another, and so we're just hopeful that we know building principles are going to be that way, but as the public maybe catches on, just know we're looking for good discourse, good engagement. Please comment this up. We'd love to hear what you have to think.
Yeah, and if you have something that you'd rather not share in such an open forum, please feel free to email either of us. There's also ways to reach out to NMASSP as a whole. And really, the goal of NMASSP is that of advocacy. And so we're here to advocate on behalf of all principals in the state of New Mexico. So if there are pressing issues, that's the purpose. This is just, again, another avenue to get that information.
Right. Well, Rocky, I think as we're talking, another hot topic that we were hoping to kind of introduce was the new HB 171 graduation requirements, Diploma of Excellence. So you're the guy that's really working for a living still in a site building. You want to kind of unpack that for viewers that may not be familiar with it?
Yeah, so traditionally our graduation requirements, the 24 credits that it's been for many years, is undergoing some change here with our current 9th graders. So those kiddos are going to have a lot more flexibility and again, choice in their graduation requirements. So things like Algebra 2 that were often a kind of a snagging point for kids in terms of graduating, they might not have to do that if it's not relevant to their career. And so we all know the value of relevance in the classroom and in the educational programs that we provide here at our schools. And so this is also challenging us to think about what we are doing to prepare our students for what what is life after high school, and how are they going to go out and provide for a family and make a living and be contributors of a society, which I would guarantee is in almost every one of our district mission and vision and goals and all those things, right? And so it's been a welcome change. This was one that tried to get through legislative session many times and died a couple of times, and so we're happy to see that. But obviously, we have our freshmen playing by one set of rules, and we have 3 other grade levels that are playing by a different. And so there's definitely transitions there. But ultimately, the focus really comes down to your graduate profile. And so every school in New Mexico, district in New Mexico, is expected to have a graduate profile outlining what we expect to see in our graduates as they walk across that stage in May from our districts. And so excited to see what that does. But
well, we really love that when this House Bill 171 was rolled out, it was intended to reflect community input and community responses to what they wanted to see in their young people. I'm just going to say, and I don't think I can point to any data that can definitely connect these 2 points. But in my time, those years as a building principal, I would almost suspect some of the strongest input they got really related to the Algebra 2 change was from our math teachers, who took a look at what Algebra 2 was teaching kids and really gave some, I think, educated and well stated feedback to say maybe there are other pathways for math learning, that if a kid is not headed into a workforce environment or a higher ed environment that requires that kind of mathematical reasoning, there's probably better suited, equally rigorous ways to teach math. And so I love that they allow that flexibility now.
Right. And, if you're going to be a welder or a construction guy, something of that nature, we have courses designed to meet those needs in things like applied math. I know every district has their own offerings, but really, in me, this come from a recovering math teacher. As much as I might love Algebra 2 and think it's a great class, it's not for everybody. If you are going down those STEM routes, you probably need to do that. And one thing with the bill, it did require that Algebra 2 is offered, because we still have to leave that opportunity for the kids that do need or do plan to explore those careers. Yeah. And so we are not in any way watering down a curriculum here. We are really just fitting the curriculum or the content to better serve our students, which is really what we all want. And so, again, scheduling a little different, but it just puts more on us to start the conversation earlier within our middle schools, elementary schools, to discuss careers, to discuss what do you want to be when you grow up. Warman's still trying to figure that out.
I am. No, you're not kidding.
It's a lifelong journey, right? And so, anyhow, with our graduate profile, we got a really nice graduate profile, I think, and we're asking teachers, challenging teachers, really, to think about this in every classroom, whether it's English, science, math, history, electives. What are we doing to prepare kids? Right. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a content-based. It can be those skills, the communication skills, because no matter what you do, you're going to have to talk to people. And so that it's not just content. It's about skills, the modalities of teaching.
Right. Well, and I think for the viewing public, there's a couple other points that Rocky and I wanted to touch on in the vlog today.
Yeah, so with those grad requirements, obviously pathways are such a big piece of preparing kids, and it is part of the requirements. And so I know here at our school we have lots of opportunities through welding, through automotive. We have, I know ag is a big thing out in Aztec.
In our whole community, it really is.
Yeah, and so again, going back to the relevance of it for students, but also within our own community. So we'd love to hear what pathways you're using in your own districts, and if you've found success there. I know there's a lot of work on the back end to match up our STARS codes and things, so our kids get credit for that. But I think the big highlight and the big reason I'm very positive about this is, I don't know if you all saw graduation rates from last year, but those that were a part of a multi-course sequence in the CTE programs had, what was it, 95% or higher grad rate?
So particularly if they've done those course sequences. And I'll just say the districts, the high schools have done a really good job. Those that have had a good attention on career technical ed, to develop robust pathways. And I think that's made for a good transition. So.
Absolutely. And so, okay, well, that kind of wraps up grad requirements, and so we'll move on down to a few of the opportunities upcoming for professional development. And so never forget that it is so important as a principal to invest in yourself. I know it's hard to do that because what we do every day, we want to give to our teachers, give to our students, but you gotta take care of you a little bit in order for you to do your job the best. And so one that is upcoming here in October is going to be our state principals conference, and that's going to happen down in Albuquerque. It is going to be over at the MC Suites, so check out our website, NMASSP. There's a link for that there, and this is in collaboration with the Elementary Association. So if you don't know, there's a Secondary Schools Association and an Elementary Association, so this is one where we work together to put this on, and so good opportunity to see some breakout sessions of things that are going well within our state. Also guest speaker that should be very good. So more info with that on our website. And I know, Warman, you sent out a blast through our email serve.
Right.
So
we try to grab all the association members' emails, and we sent out a reminder about that just to highlight if you've got folks who aren't building principals that might be interested in the State Principals Conference. Its name is actually the Pre-K-12 New Mexico Principals Conference and the CES Leadership Symposium. So they do have some breakouts, some really career technical ed focused stuff that is good for leaders that are outside of just building leadership too.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the guest speaker this year will be focused on some career technical education getting implemented in the schools. So
yeah, if you
very
watch,
timely.
Yeah, if members or people interested will watch for the registration flyer, there's a QR code. You do register through CES. And I think the keynote's going to be great. I believe it's Dr. Fleming is who is going to be our keynote, and he's been really a mover and a shaker nationally in setting up quality CTE programming around the U.S.
And then coming up in November, School Safety Summit.
Yeah, School Safety Summit's in its third year now, and that's been really great to have a statewide conference solely dedicated to school safety. If you've not attended this yet as a building principal, I highly encourage you to take a look at it. I believe the registration just opened recently, so that it's $100 to register for the conference. We really focus all of our efforts to do breakouts on providing quality professional development from practitioners in the field. There'll be vendors there. It really has a strong draw with law enforcement, school safety personnel. We get a lot of mental health and health folks from the school sites that attend the conference, and a very strong showing of school principals. So they have shifted the conference. It used to happen in the spring. They've now moved it earlier in the year, which I think is great. It bumps it up against some other conferences going on, but usually November is not too bad of a time for a building principal to pop down to Albuquerque for a day or two to get some good PD on that. So,
yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, great opportunity, and we all know the value of safety, and obviously with some of the things in the news lately in terms of school shootings and things, can never be over-prepared when it comes to school safety, and I think it's just natural that there's so much coverage at that summit with mental health and law enforcement and schools. That's really what it is. It's a collaborative effort.
Right, and I think building principals will hear a lot of ideas that they'll be familiar with, but just to hear different districts spin on it, things from our tabletop exercises that have been presented in that conference in the past. I'm actually going to be doing one of the breakouts too. I'm going to be presenting on the Principal Recovery Networks to the National Association. We've actually published a guide to recovery that's proven to be pretty useful for building principals after a traumatic event has happened on campus. So I hope you can take time to be there, and really looking forward to it. And I really hope that this video blog kind of grows and that we're able to get some good engagement and do another episode. And
and we will do that. So episode 2 coming up. So we plan to be doing these about once a month, and so be looking for that to come out. And in our next episode, we plan to address attendance. Always an issue that we're fighting here in the state of New Mexico, but nationally, right? We're not alone in that effort. And then we will focus on school safety next time. And then also fine arts and education. This is the year of the fine arts. So we'll talk a little bit about the role of fine arts and education. Obviously, Dr. Hall, near and dear to your heart.
It is, yeah. A lot of folks may know my wife is an elementary music teacher. I've got a daughter that's student teaching in music right now. And in my work as a federal programs director, I also help with the district's Fine Arts in Elementary Act funding. I do hope to be able to pepper in with this some of the things relevant to school principals related to title funding and other funding opportunities that might be around the state. So, yeah, Rocky, I'm glad to be doing this project with you.
Yeah, me too. And again, the whole point of this is advocacy and just giving us an opportunity to provide some support to all of our administrators here in New Mexico. We know we have 89 districts in our state, so lots leadership can look different in so many ways. And we just hope to work together to grow and improve what we do every day. And so that's really it for today.
We want to sign off by just telling everyone thank you for leading New Mexico.
Yeah. Thanks.